Hello and welcome to Talking Live in 2020. This is our first show of the new year, and we have our friend of the show, Rob Shooter, who is the #1 gossip columnist according to the National Enquirer. He has a special column there called Straight Shooter. He also is the host of a new iHeart radio show, which you can download, correct?
You can indeed.
And
Yes,
subscribe to, which I highly recommend. And he's also a regular on Good Day New York, and you can find him on the Today Show and E! And CNN and all of those good places. And I just love him, which I've told you many times.
I sound exhausted. I'm exhausted. I do so many silly things. Good to see you. Happy New Year, my friend.
Oh my goodness. Well, I just thought the Golden Globes was so fabulous. I don't know if we should start with
let's
that
jump in. It's
or the 10 years in review, just what struck
Whatever you want.
you?
It's your show, darling.
Okay.
What would you like to start with?
Well, you know, the 10-year in review,
Sure.
there were some interesting things that happened.
Sure, bring
what
it up. Yeah, I think,
up?
I mean, for the decade's really hard to look into an
I
entertainment, particularly when the world moves so quickly. It feels like what we did yesterday was like 100 years ago. So looking back over 10 years, we try to pull out some of the biggest entertainment stories, and we have to admit, you're not going to like it, but the Kardashians still own the world and certainly own entertainment. Their show debuted over a decade ago, so I think it was in 2007 that the show debuted. It didn't do so well at first. It was not an overnight success, but slowly the show got bigger and bigger, and now they are huge still and not going anywhere. And then obviously in the last decade, Caitlyn came out as Kate. So Bruce transitioned to Caitlyn. Kim had her 72-day marriage, and then her marriage to Kanye. Kylie became a billionaire. So it's a wild world. For a lot of my readers say that they don't really like the Kardashians or not interested in them. But the data proves otherwise. They're still massive and not going anywhere.
They've had a huge cultural impact.
Yeah, you can't deny it.
You can't deny it. And I actually like how Kim Kardashian West has transformed herself. I think she really has grown within the marriage. To Kanye West, and I think he's hopefully grown as well. He has found Jesus. God bless him, literally.
I think, God bless him. The cultural impact on them is enormous, and once again, Kim is transforming again, and she's doing it right now. And I think as long as they keep doing this, they will still be relevant. So they're not going anywhere. Another massive story of the decade was the royals, and for the last 10 years, we saw Diana's 2 boys grow up before our eyes. So they went from being sort of like young men into these global ambassadors. And now they're both married. They both have their own children. The latest probably chapter in that story is they're not getting along as well as what we would like them to. And so I think that will probably be fixed moving forward. But I think at the moment, Kate and Meghan are the future of that family.
Interesting.
And
what about Charles? I've grown to really like Charles over the years.
He's a really tender, stable, sort of stoic personality. The Brits have changed on him too. He was not that popular 10 years ago. When Diana passed, he was really, really disliked. And I think slowly he's won the Brits back. I think walking Meghan down the aisle at her wedding after all the drama with her family, with her father, was probably a good idea.
And he was so classy with Meghan's mother.
I
think he really shone.
Like him. And it's so interesting. People are going to be surprised by this. But Diana's legacy isn't as strong in Britain as it maybe is here in America. I'm not saying people have turned on her. She's always going to be the people's princess. People are always going to love her.
Why is that?
I think as time has passed by, there's never been a big monument to her in London. She was not buried in London. She was buried in her family estate at Althorpe Park. And so I think that she's diminished a little bit in the public's consciousness, and Charles has sort of come up. And I also think too that Kate and Meghan, I don't want to say I've replaced her, it's impossible, but Kate and Meghan now are the 2 fashionistas of the royal household, and so I think we're going to see a lot more of Kate, who really has grown beautifully into this role. She was quite a shy girl when she met him.
I don't know how she's perfect, and no one's perfect, but she really has done everything
Do you know what it is?
so and classy.
She's perfect for this role. So she's probably not a perfect person.
No,
but
no one is.
Yeah, no one is. But she found the perfect role. And I think
Yeah.
the fact that she's a country girl, she's not a Kardashian, she's not a celebrity, I think that's really helped her in the long term. Maybe not in the short term. Meghan's more flashy and more exciting and maybe more sexy. But Kate's got qualities that are going to last, I think, for a long time.
I do
timeless.
too. She has good lasting power.
She does, and the
and she
children
will
are the
wear
priority.
better over
yes.
time. Meghan is, I'm not so sure.
Meghan's still finding her way there. Like
Yeah.
she came out really strong, and people really liked her at first. That the wedding surprised the royals. The reason they did it in Windsor and not in London was they didn't expect that many people to be on the streets. They thought it'd be embarrassing to do it in London and have nobody there. So they did it in Windsor, which is a really small town about 20 minutes outside London. They were shocked at how many people turned up.
Yeah.
More people in America watched that wedding than watched Kate's.
Oh.
So Meghan's wedding was actually more popular in America than Kate's was. I think it's been a really tough transition.
Do you think
for
Harry
Meghan.
wants to leave the royal family?
Yeah, I don't think he wants to leave the family, but I think he wants to find his own role. I think he's seen his dad, Prince Charles, not have a job for 50, 60, 70 years. And there's no job for the second prince.
There's some people that might envy that.
It sounds lovely, doesn't it? It's like, although the few people I've met that are so independently wealthy and have not made the money themselves, have inherited it,
Yeah.
are not the happiest people. So I know a few like children of celebrities, and they're not as happy as what you would think they were, because there's no job, there's nothing to do. You get up every morning, and there's nothing really for you to do. And if you're born rich, you never ever get to value like a new pair of shoes in the same way that me and you might get excited over it.
Yeah.
So that Harry's got a tricky position. He has no job. There's nothing for him to do. So I think Meghan's going to encourage him to start maybe a charity together, and that might be the focus. But I wouldn't be surprised if they went to Canada. They're not coming to America because it's not part of the Commonwealth.
Right, they would lose out money.
They lose the money.
Quite
And so,
frankly,
yes, they
Harry
would-
doesn't have enough money
He
for
doesn't
that.
have enough money to live like a prince.
No.
So without that family,
And Meghan's not going to have that.
Megan likes this. I think it's really interesting here, because I don't want to bash her. She's so different from Kate. There's a place for both of them. Meghan will be the Princess Margaret. She'll be the girl in London.
That's
She'll go
right.
to all the shows. She'll go to the clubs.
Yeah.
She'll be seen in the Gucci and the latest fashion.
Yeah.
And Kate's going to be more in the country and more reserved. But there is a place for both of them. They just haven't yet kind of figured it out.
I think so too. And I really am very positive about Harry reuniting
They will
with his
reunite.
brother. I have no doubt.
Yeah, I think they will reunite. I think it's bumpy. In all families, though, when somebody new comes in and the rules change, it takes a little while to figure it all out. They did this under the spotlight, millions and millions of people watching, so it probably was even more intense.
It's got to be hard. It's got to be hard.
But I think that they'll figure it out.
So what about the other royal that was friends, Prince Andrew
Prince
with
Andrew, yeah,
Jeffrey
it's
Epstein?
shocking. I mean, we've watched the fall of a prince, like Prince Andrew, another guy who didn't really have a job.
I didn't really think cancel culture would work in royalty, so now we're seeing it doesn't matter if you're connected to the family.
Do you know what's interesting about it though too? I used to be a publicist for a long time before I was a gossip
Oh,
columnist.
you just reminded me. I just want to say that you also brought OK Magazine into like the #1 position.
We did really well when we
even
launched
though
it.
you're a hot personality, TV personality now.
I loved it. No, I like being
You've done many things successfully.
I think what did Andrew in here is not just the friendship, but the way that he handled the aftermath.
Yeah.
And it's often the case that the crime you can deal with if you handled it well. And that interview that he did in the BBC in the palace was a disaster.
Yeah.
And to sit down and to do that interview, I was shocked he did it. I was shocked the royals.
I mean,
let him
as a
do it.
publicist,
I
because
can't
you were
imagine.
also J-Lo's publicist. We have a picture of you. Yes.
And an orange toga.
I'm surprised that the royal family would approve of having
don't-
that kind of interview.
Yeah, I was told that they knew the
in the
interview was
castle.
happening. They knew the interview was happening. They didn't think it would be that. And I also think too, he should have just come forward and said what we all think, which is this is outrageous, and what Jeffrey Epstein was accused of doing
But he also
and
was
guilty of doing.
He was a part of it too.
It's outrageous, and you have to say that, and he didn't. And the minute he didn't let those words leave his mouth, he was pushed out. What's interesting with Andrew Andrew's the Queen's favourite.
Why?
She's, you never know why someone's a mother's favourite.
Okay.
Like,
I just thought maybe you knew.
I mean, like, he's a
I
lot
thought
of
maybe
fun.
you asked the Queen.
He's cheeky. He doesn't have to have the responsibility that Charles does, who she probably finds is a little stuffy. But Andrew, she really likes Andrew. She's now in her 90s. And so as long as mom is okay, Andrew will be fine. Andrew should be worried that when mother goes and Charles is in charge, it's going to be like the Lion King. Like there's going to be like a reckoning. And at the minute, he's been removed from royal duties, but he still lives a very great life, and the Queen will always look after him. Once the Queen dies, Andrew and Fergie and Beatrice and Eugenie, his children, life's going to change.
So they won't be as wealthy, or they won't have the same royal position?
I think it's a combination of both.
Okay.
There's a lot of perks that come from being the son of a queen. Literally, I mean, like, there's a lot of perks.
I do like Fergie. I'd like to see them get remarried.
Fergie too. I like Fergie. They still live together.
I
They
know.
live together in a beautiful palace on Windsor Estate. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting. I think Charles is going to really cut down that royal household to his sons and their wives.
And who could blame him?
Well, times are changing. It's
They
really
are.
wild, isn't it? Times are
They
changing.
are.
Even the royals have to economize.
Yes, exactly. Let's just switch a little bit to the Golden Globes.
Great night.
Because that was last night.
Last night, so everybody's talking about Brad and Jen. That was the story
Oh
of the
my
night.
God. First of all, Brad has never looked better.
He's Benjamin Buttons.
Like,
And he
oh
got
my
better-
God.
He got better looking.
Yeah. And I loved his speech.
I loved his
when he
speech.
said, just be nice to
Be
everyone.
kind,
Be kind, be nice.
And I think that's who he is. He's
Yeah.
a nice guy.
Yeah.
He went through some really awful troubles. He talks about it himself. He drank too much. I think he probably smoked
too much pot.
Too many silly cigarettes.
Yeah.
But I think now he's come out of this divorce from Angelina, and Hollywood loves him. I think he's back working. He's not back with Jen. So
He's a good actor, but he's
yes.
not back with Jen. But they're friends?
They
What's
are friends.
The
They
deal?
were
Does
spotted
she
at
love
the
him
Aqua.
still?
I don't know. I mean, my reporting on that is that he was the love of her life.
Yeah.
And the way that it ended was not good.
No.
And I think it's always going to be hard for her to ever get past that. They are now talking. He went to her birthday party. They didn't speak at the Globes. He arrived a couple of minutes after her, but they did speak. My reporter spotted them speaking at a party afterwards. I think we want them to get together more than they do. I think the moment's passed. I think they will be friends. But Jen holds on to her exes. She's still friends with Justin, who she married after Brad. He was recently at a party at her house. So the whole night, everybody was watching Brad and Jen. Although now stealing the headlines of the night is Beyonce and Jay-Z.
I wanted to say that. There was an article, was it in Page 6 or
Yeah,
People?
but there's a reporter. So there was a reporter from the LA Times who was in the room who took a picture of them arriving late.
Yeah.
So they arrived about an hour late. I know, an hour late. Now, you can arrive an hour late if you're a presenter and you come through the side door and you present and you leave. It's very strange to arrive an hour late and to sit in the party. So you're allowed to come and just present and leave, but you can't sort of arrive. I've never heard of somebody.
So what was that about? And also, they didn't give a
know.
standing ovation for.
They didn't stand in ovation for
the Joaquin
the Joker.
Phoenix?
So
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix,
Also, too,
yeah.
they brought their own champagne. So
Which is a little extra.
Well, it's really strange because a sponsor paid an enormous amount of money. I think it was Moët who paid to sponsor the Golden Globes. And there's somebody on a red carpet holding little bottles of Moët. They don't give it you just as a nice thought. It's not like if you and me have a party and you bake a cake.
Yeah.
This is all arranged. There's a contract.
Yeah.
Remember the Fiji girl got in trouble last year for the water?
Yes.
That is all planned. So they
Yeah.
pay an enormous amount of money. So Moët, I think it was Moët, paid a fortune to be there. It was
So
on every
what's it
table.
about? It seems like they wanted to send a
Jay-Z
message.
has his own champagne, and he's from the Diddy school of marketing and promoting, where you just roll in and you bring your stuff, and that's the rules, and the rules don't apply to you. So Jay-Z and Beyonce turned up an hour late. Their security guard, who's another person who's not allowed in the room. I've been to this award. I went with Jennifer, and I wasn't allowed in the room. Her security wasn't. If you don't have a ticket, you are not allowed in that ballroom. And if you think about it, if every celebrity brought a security guard or a publicist or a manager, the room would just be full of regular, boring people like me and not celebrities. They don't want you. It's like at the Met Gala. If you go to the Met Gala here in New York, publicists aren't allowed to walk the red carpet. You drop your client at the top and Vogue gets you in, and you're not allowed to bring a publicist into the dinner unless they're your +1. And so at the Golden Globes, the only people in that room, and we've got heavy hitters in that room, some of the most powerful people in the world, Jeff Bezos is there, Tim Cook, the head of Apple's in the room. The only people in that room that have a security guard was Beyonce and Jay. Not a smart move, not a classy
what
move.
Are they doing?
I don't know.
It seems like it was negative press.
I think it was silly to do it, and there was nobody around them to tell them not to do it. And I think celebrities are used to being told yes, 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 and occasionally you have to say, you can do what you want, you're Beyonce, but if you do it, you're going to look like a fool, and people are going to be talking about it.
And not giving the standing ovation?
And not I think that was the dress. I don't think she was as comfortable as she probably, I mean, it's those dresses. They're like works of art. And, I don't know, it was not their finest hour. I didn't see them at any after parties. So she was nominated and she lost. She was up for song, which was a little controversial too. She wrote a new song for The Lion King, which Elton John wrote 20 years ago. So you would think The Lion King Disney would go back to Elton and say, do you want to write it? Which when Elton won for The Rocket Man, he loved it. Because he was like, you should have asked me to write a new song for The Lion King. They're my songs.
Yeah.
And so
I think there's a lot of pressure to seem like Hollywood is not as biased as it is.
It's like high school with money. It's like if you think back to dinner at your high school or lunch, having lunch in the canteen at your high school, that's what the Golden Globes is, except with a lot of champagne and really rich people. But it's a really sort of bitchy room, and then, everyone's a little bit competitive towards each other. Taylor Swift was there too. She lost to Elton John. And then Taylor Swift had to sit through all those cats.
You know who didn't look happy at the Golden Globes? The actor from The Irishman, De Niro. Robert De Niro.
Like a grumpy table. They didn't win anything either.
I know.
I think everybody thought that people had wrote off HBO, and they all said this was the year of streaming.
Yeah.
And they were absolutely wrong. The Joker, which won Best Actor, is a mainstream movie. 1917, Sam Mendes' movie, that's a mainstream movie. So I think everybody thought The Irishman and Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and Apple TV.
Could that be political as well?
I think they're a wacky bunch. There's only 90 people that vote on the Golden Globes. So you only need, if you think about it, to win, what you need, 45 votes. So if you get 50% of the vote, you're going to win. So if I get 45 votes, I can win. I can call 45 people. And so in the past at the Golden Globes, there's been a lot of scandals about celebrities. I think the year Cher won, she flew them all to Vegas to see her show. I think Tom Ford gave everybody his fragrance when he directed that movie. So there's a lot of wheeling, dealing, backhanded.
It's very political.
I was surprised J-Lo didn't win. I thought Jennifer would win for Hustlers. Didn't. And
she didn't win for her outfit.
She didn't win for her outfit either. I know, she didn't look great, did she? I was told it looked
she always is a beautiful girl, but it looked like a bow from a present.
I was shocked, and she's so fashion smart.
Yeah.
She's not, and she doesn't let the stylist do what they want. She's involved. There's a picture Chris Appleton, her makeup artist, her hairdresser, he posted, and it's a great picture. She doesn't realise how great it is. Scott Barnes is doing her makeup, and while Scott's doing her makeup, she's doing her own. So she's reaching for a brush to and so Jennifer's in control. So surprised that she wouldn't have worn the dress if she didn't like it. So she liked that dress. I don't know. And I thought Jennifer would win too. I thought Jennifer Aniston would win for the morning show with all the Lauer drama and Apple TV.
It was so good.
I thought she would win. I haven't seen it yet. It's great.
Oh, it's so great. Marvin got me hooked. Yeah, he got me hooked on it, and I loved it.
I will watch it. But I thought she would win. She lost too. It's not a great year for...
Well, we'll see what happens at the Oscars and also SAG-AFTRA awards. Like, we don't know.
The Oscars close on Tuesday, so the Golden Globes has such a big impact now because they moved the schedule around. So the ballots for the Oscars have to be mailed in Tuesday, I think, at like 6 o'clock.
Any predictions?
I think it's going to be... Joaquin Phoenix now must have shot to head because of Joker doing so well. I think 1917, the war movie with Sam Mendes, is probably now the front runner. There was a while when the Golden Globes didn't really matter and it was just a fun night. And then Green Book they predicted, and that shot to win the Oscars. So I think now the Joker's in a good position. I think J-Lo's stock has probably dropped.
Yeah.
Jennifer's not nominated because it was a TV show. I saw The Two Popes. Fantastic. And I also saw Marriage Story with Scarlett. Oh, beautiful.
I have to see that. It's on my list. I just want to mention, because you were featured in Metropolitan magazine. You were also, we actually both were part of the influential New Yorkers, but there is just a gorgeous
it's a little Photoshop.
feature about you. So we're very excited.
It's really lovely, and thank you, Metropolitan Magazine. Thank you, and also, where are we influencers?
We were influencers also for Metropolitan
Very
Magazine, for influential New Yorkers.
New Yorkers?
Yeah.
Do you go to the parties?
I do go to some of the parties. I like some of the parties.
I'm not good in like big. I like this. I like one-on-one.
Yeah.
I like
But
three or
you're
four.
so good at parties. You were at my book party
But
and the
I'm
most
stormed in
popular
and
guy
out,
there.
But I do a whirlwind.
I know.
It's a good 15 minutes that, and like my trot doesn't stop. I'm like a pony. I go around the room.
Well,
and out.
you're always loved at any party you show up for. Remind our audience where they can find
Naughty
you.
Gossips. The website's naughtygossip.com. We want now one of the biggest entertainment websites in America.
Yeah.
It's wild. I
Yeah.
know we should check our spelling more. It's awfully spelling on there. We've got to check that. So naughtygossip.com. Have a read there if you want some gossip.
Well,
and,
thank you for joining us in
we
the
love
new
it.
year. We
I know.
love you.
How many years have we been doing this?
Friend of the show,
I know.
over 2 years.
Congratulations, Muscle
Thank
Top.
you. Thank you. And thank you for joining us in 2020, and we'll see you next week.
2020.